Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the earnings call of Positron Energy Limited for the financial year ended 31st March 2025. The floor will be open for questions once the management presentation concludes. Please note, today's call is being recorded and may include forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These involve risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially. The company is not obligated to update such statements except as required by law. Listeners are advised not to place undue reliance on them. Representing Positron today, we have Mr. Rajiv Menon, Managing Director, Mr. Manav Behri, Whole-Time Director and CEO, Mr. Sujit Sugatan, Whole-Time Director and CFO, Mrs. Madhuri Mistry, Company Secretary. Without further delay, I now invite the management to share a brief overview of the company's performance and provide insights into our operations. Thank you, and over to you.
Good afternoon to all of you. Siddhi, am I audible? Absolutely clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Good afternoon once again. Warm welcome to all the participants to the Positron Energy Limited's earning call and the discussion on the financial results of H2 25 and financial year 25 ended at March 31st. Thanks for all to join, and once again a heartfelt gratitude to all our investors for the continued trust and support that has been posed to Positron Energy Limited during the last few months. So we are here to discuss the financial results and the performance of Positron Energy. And already we have shared the kind of investor presentations and the results which have already been uploaded on the exchange. And I trust that most of our investors would have already gone through the financial numbers as well as the updated presentation. So before we get into the detailed financials and the numbers and all, we would like to have a quick review of the presentation which was uploaded. Siddhi, if you can just upload the presentation. Okay, proceed to the next slide. This is a standard disclaimer. Yeah. Okay. So quick overview about the company. Positron Energy Limited is a specialized natural gas aggregator, and we also provide management and technical advisory services to the entire value chain of the oil and gas sector. So we have positioned ourselves very strongly with respect to being natural gas as well as LNG aggregators and providing all kind of technical services for the city gas distribution as well as the gas sector in the country. This company was founded by Mr. Rajiv Menon, Manav Behri, and myself, Sujit Sugatan. Together, we bring in an experience of cumulative experience of more than 50 years in the energy sector, which provides us the prominence within the sector to provide all kind of solutions for the stakeholders. The key achievements for Positron Energy with respect to the natural gas aggregation is during the financial year 24-25, we have been able to aggregate a total volume of upwards of 75 MMSCM, that is million standard cubic meters of gas. And primarily that was possible with respect to RLNG sales, which was added during the last financial year. The total gas portfolio currently that Positron is handling is to the tune of 15,000 to 20,000 MMBTU per day. This is as per the data of last quarter, March 2025. Next slide. So this shows the vision and mission. In a nutshell, Positron Energy is committed to provide all the management solutions to the oil and gas sector to work in the complex business environment by providing all kinds of solutions through our technical services, as well as providing solutions in terms of providing gas volumes to the end consumers as well. This is possible through the core values that we uphold with respect to providing all kinds of transparency, integrity, collaborative spirit, where we work along with our stakeholders, provide partnership to our customers, and provide them solutions, giving them innovative solutions, creating insightful awareness across the entire market with the changing dynamics in the sector. Next slide. Some of the key highlights. Presently, Positron Energy is operating through 4 different locations across the country, which covers the entire country as on date for all our business portfolios. Looking to certain financial numbers, as we are already a kind of technically a debt-free kind of a company, we do not have much of debt undertaken. So the ratios are very, very promising in the slide that we are representing. The total years of experience, currently we are already crossed 17 years for Positron Energy across the vertical. We have completed more than 127 projects across various services, spanning from the operation and maintenance, EPC, PMC, as well as serving all the gas consumers. We have upwards of 70 clients who have already been serviced by us during the last financial year. And we have a team strength of more than 220 people. Primarily, the composition is of more of engineers who are deployed across all of our projects across the country. Next slide. Some of the key performance indicators. Overall, compared to a year-on-year basis, last year we closed the revenue from our operations at 336 crores, which was a substantial growth compared to the previous year, where we were at 134 crores. The EBITDA also has significantly jumped by 85%. We are currently at 23.4 crores. And the similar way, PAT has also increased by 103%, where now we are at 17.78%. 17.78 crores. Next slide. This slide basically shows the entire journey that Positron has undertaken. Just to quickly give a snapshot, Positron has been there in this particular business in the last 17 years, and we have witnessed the entire journey where the government of India had laid down the roadmap in the way back in 2008 by development of Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board for development of the city gas distribution business. So the entire value chain shows how Positron has been contributing towards the development of this particular sector across the entire value chain in terms of developing the city gas distribution business, including a lot of private parties to participate in this particular business, as well as, last but not the least, even getting into the gas distribution business once the network as well as the infrastructure was developed during the last 10-15 years. So each of the milestones that are mentioned in this particular slides show our contribution of how we have been able to contribute across the oil and gas sector. Next slide. So last year we had quite a impressive opening up at the NSE Emerge platform, where we listed Positron Energy, and it was a fantastic response by all the investors. We had a very strong listing performance while we entered the market on August 20th, 2024, and from there on we have been strongly trying to leverage the position that we have been given and trying to create value for all our stakeholders. Next slide. The operational performance overview, here it is basically all the value addition that we have undertaken into our core business aspects with respect to our contribution in the operation and maintenance portfolio, the project management related jobs that we have undertaken. Certain milestones that we have achieved include successful completion of a project at Leh in Ladakh for HPCL, which was a real challenging location, which was successfully completed during the last financial year. there have been a lot of strategic developments. We have been very closely working with Indian Gas Exchange and using the gas trading platform for sales of our natural gas. And we have also been able to enter into a natural gas supply contract with GSPC during the last financial year, which has given a substantial thrust in terms of the gas molecule portfolio that Positron Energy is having. And that has helped us to achieve the targets that we had set for Positron during the last financial year. Next slide. A quick quantification of the success that has been achieved. The most important parameter in the 24-25 was the total cumulative volume. As discussed in the initial slide, we have achieved around 75 MMSCM of gas sales during the last financial year. And quarter to quarter, we have been adding on to the volume portfolio. In the first slide, the volume growth, we can see that, from 7.6 lakhs MMBTU, we had ramped it up quite a bit in the Q4. That was based on the working capital addition that we were able to undertake post the IPO funds were streamlined for Positron Energy, and that helped us in terms of getting the commitment for volume, and that helped us to increase the natural gas portfolio for Positron. Equivalently, we look into the customer base. We have been able to significantly add a lot of consumers on a month-on-month basis. And last year, we were able to cater to more than 70 consumers across each of our business segments, which helped us to add to the top line growth, which we already discussed. We had closed at around 335 crores during the last financial year. Next slide, please. The growth trajectory for EPC industry is directly linked with the development in the oil and gas sector that the country is witnessing. So overall, we look into the natural gas demand. Currently, we are at around 188 MMSCMD of natural gas demand, which is being projected to reach 297 MMSCMD by 2030. So the key aspect, if we look into the policy driver, is basically from the government of India's vision of ramping up natural gas share in the energy mix from 6.3% to 15% by 2030. So that is going to be a significant development in terms of increasing the natural gas share in the overall energy mix, which will help Positron Energy as well to contribute significantly in the development, both in infrastructure through our technical services, as well as taking the maximum possible share in the natural gas growth that is also going to be witnessed in the coming 5 years by the ramp up, which is almost significant up to 2 times. The overall development also is linked with the city gas distribution network enhancement that is also going to happen during this period. The country has already been licensed by more than we can say up to 100% all the locations have already been given the license by Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board with certain minimum work program that has also been charted, which has to be accomplished during the coming few years. And with that will also ensure a rapid growth, both in fact in the infrastructure as well as in the natural gas. That is also going to be substantiated with the LNG infrastructure that the country has already been projecting. And currently also we have roughly around 52.5 million metric ton per annum worth of capacity, which shall ensure that there would be enough capacity available for achieving this kind of a demand projection that has been undertaken by the government of India. Last but not the least, even the pipeline infrastructure which would be required is also going to be significant, because currently as we have roughly around 24,000 kilometers of pipeline is available in the country, and work is under progress to reach to the last mile connectivity of upwards of 10,000 kilometer work is in progress, which will also be completed during this course of period up to 2030. And the country would have upwards of 45,000 kilometers of transmission pipeline network, which will ensure that there will be a substantial growth which would be witnessed across the entire sector. Next line, please. The business expansion forecast that we undertake, Positron currently is already handling roughly around 15,000 to 20,000 MMBTU per day. This was the numbers which were accomplished during the last quarter of the last financial year. Now, in the coming 2 to 3 years of time, we still target to further enhance our portfolio to 25,000 to 30,000 MMBTU per day is what we are looking at. There will be sustainable growth focus in the company with 30 to 40% year-on-year growth rate is being forecasted by the management in terms of achieving for the next coming few years as well. Gas trade and aggregation segment, we again are very clearly focused in terms of leveraging the strong industry partnership that we have evolved over a period of time, both at the consumer level as well as at the source level. So we would be now working on very significantly to get into long-term arrangements, both for sourcing of the gas as well as for the sales of the gas. With respect to infrastructure readiness, in the previous slide already we discussed very clearly there is a lot of development happening across the sector, and we would be leveraging those infrastructure readiness which are coming up with transmission pipeline, the LNG infrastructure, and we would be also be a party to this entire growth story and try to take the maximum share in terms of both services as well as the gas portfolio of Positron. Next slide. This slide talks about the business priorities and the strategic direction that Positron is poised to move further. We continue to have our excellence in all the consulting offerings that we have always tried to endeavor to provide customized solution to all our consumers. We have been throughout committed in terms of expanding our geographic growth across implementation projects, operation and maintenance, as well as PMC, where we have been working across the country. Several projects with respect to pipeline efficiency, optimization, and all we continue to undertake. Sectoral diversification has always been the key because we cater to both industrial as well as the commercial segment to have a balanced growth. Innovation-driven solutions wherever required with respect to end consumers, we have always been providing them through our consulting offerings as well as the supply solutions. Market expansion, delivering various industry-focused consulting solutions again remains the key for us. Next slide, please. Strategic market strengths, tailored solution and market diversification. Positron Energy continues to deliver innovative customized solution niche segments while expanding our footprints throughout the strategic market diversification. Robust portfolio and growth readiness. We continue to have our portfolio divided between the technical services as well as the natural gas portfolio, by providing wide spectrum of services through the entire gas distribution and advisory front, backed by infrastructure readiness and the strategic partnerships that we already discussed in the previous slide. We believe in agile response to the market and policy shifts. We have always been very proactive in terms of tapping any kind of opportunity which comes in our way with respect to changing gas pricing scenarios, regulatory reforms, or any kind of developments being put across for the industry, by understanding the same and implementing the same for our clients and for our business growth. The proven leadership and the execution excellence will continue to have with kind of 50+ years of experience that the promoters bring in. So we continue to have that insightful approach for the industry, and we continue with the same strategic vision. The scalable model in terms of increasing and expanding our national reach that talks volumes based on the last year, we have already been able to successfully deliver 75 MMSCM of natural gas in the last financial year, and we plan to continue to undertake the same during the coming financial years as well. Next slide. So this summarizes the entire product and services portfolio, which we have already discussed. The major thrust has always been the gas sales and distribution front. Apart from that, in the technical services, we have three segments: the project management consulting, technical consulting, including the operation and maintenance, and other product offerings, customized based on consumer requirements. Next slide. This shows the territorial presence that Positron Energy is at present having. We are present across 7 states, and further we continue to keep on expanding our portfolio to the areas that we have yet to approach, because most of the locations, they have already been licensed, and there are a lot of business opportunities which are coming up over the next couple of years further for the untapped locations as well. Next slide. These are certain certification, quality certifications along that Positron has undertaken. Next slide. This gives a snapshot of the kind of industrial segments that Positron Energy has been catering to. We cater to city gas distribution segment. That's the core area where we focus for all our services portfolio, as well as certain gas sales related portfolio as well. Natural gas aggregation and sales, majorly we focus on the power sector, steel sector, petroleum, refineries, fertilizer, ceramics, glass, textile, and whatnot. So most of the industrial segments we cater to, where gas is being provided as a solution to all our consumers. Next slide. These are few of the clients whom we have served during the last financial year. Next slide. This slide shows the snapshot of the Positron management. So the core promoters of the company, Mr. Rajiv Menon, Mr. Manav Bahari, and myself, Sujit Sugatan. Apart from that, we have a strong independent directors as well as non-executive director panel in our company. Includes Dr. Safalta Gupta, Mr. Suresh, and Ms. Sheila Verma, who have immense experience across various diverse fields, which help us to enhance the quality of decision making when our board undertakes any kind of strategic decision for the company. Next slide. This is a snapshot of the order book that we have. Currently, we have around 65 crores worth of order book, which is available as on 31st of March 2025. Significant amount of the order book, no doubt, lies with the natural gas segment. 70% of the order book is linked with the natural gas. And the remaining is for the services segment, which has to be accomplished during the current financial year. Next slide. These are a category-wise breakup for the business that we undertake, natural gas as well as management technical service portfolio. For FY25, we have undertaken 323 crores of sales through natural gas aggregation business, and services have been around 13.73 crores. So majorly it is 92% plus has been always with respect to the gas business, and the services has been contributing roughly around 7 to 8%. Next slide. This is a profit and loss statement with all the audited numbers and financials and all. The key parameters during the last financial year, FY25, we have been able to clock a revenue of 336 crores, including all the income that we take from other sources as well. And the EBITDA margin, which was maintained, was at 23.49 crores. We ensured a PAT of 17.78 crores, and the EPS was maintained at 26.12 crores. The PAT margin and the EBITDA margin has roughly been 7% and 5% levels, respectively. Next slide. The key snapshot of the balance sheet. Okay, next slide. The quick analysis of the financials. Revenue from operations have shown a substantial jump on a HOH basis, 283%, and on a year-on-year basis also there has been a significant jump from 135 to 336 crores. EBITDA has also rose significantly with 145% of a growth that we had posed. There has been a surge in the PAT margins as well. With the last 6 months, we have been able to ramp up around 175%. So with all this thing, we have been able to reach to the targets that we had set up for the company in the last financial year. And the assessment is more or less in the levels what we had worked up in terms of the performance for EBITDA as well as PAT margin. Next slide. Thank you. Thank you so much. Over to you, Siddhi.
Thank you, sir. We'll now begin the question and answer session. Participants who wish to ask a question may raise their hands. You can also submit your queries through the Q&A tab. We'll take the first question from Mr. Agastya Dave.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Thank you very much, sir, for the detailed presentation and also for holding the conference call. Sir, I have one request.
Yeah.
Sir, we should seriously consider giving quarterly results. This SEBI rule is not a good rule. 6 months is too large a gap, and in the absence of any communication from the companies, you guys are just following rules. But the
Right.
rule itself is bad. And in the absence of any communication, what happens is that there is a vacuum which is created, and that entire space is filled with rumors and confusion, and just like badly given advice regarding the company and regarding the stock. And it applies not only to Positron but all the SMEs. Now, this is something I've requested to all the management. So please consider giving quarterly statements. In your particular case, you should also consider giving monthly volume numbers because that's a very critical metric for analyzing the company and also tracking the great work that you guys are doing. It's a small suggestion, sir. Please consider it seriously. Sir, congratulations on a great quarter. Your execution has been on like very, very good. So first, a clarification. You said that the total volume for last year was 75 SCMD. So kindly
75 MMSCM.
yes, MMSCMD. Sir, kindly help me with the conversion. Would that mean an average of around 8,000 to 8,500 million BTU per day?
I think fair enough. Your understanding seems to be right. You're right.
Okay. And sir, you mentioned that in last quarter, which I'm assuming is Q4 of last year, you were touching 15 to 20,000 million BTUs per day. Is that understanding correct, sir?
15 to 20,000 MMBTU per day. 15,000 to 20,000 MMBTU per day.
Correct, sir. 15 to
Correct.
20,000, like
That was the
15,000 to
last.
20,000.
Yeah, that was the last quarter number. You're right.
So, sir, again, sir, would it be a reasonable assumption that we should be maintaining those revenues for vast majority of the months in this financial year, excluding the monsoon months?
That should be a fair assumption. That should be a fair assumption. That is
Sir,
what we are trying to endeavor to achieve during the current year as well.
and sir, how are the monsoon months for you? I mean, if I just project these numbers based on the averages that you have disclosed as of now,
Yeah.
it seems likely that you may actually double your turnover this year, right? Last year was 8,000. Now you're doing, at the beginning of the year, you're doing 1520. So at the bare minimum, we should be doubling our turnover, right?
Right. So here, Mr. Agastya, you need to really understand the challenges in terms of ramping up the business, right? So
Right.
if we look into our historical numbers also, you would have seen that, every year we have been making a substantial growth in the business. Now,
Very true.
entire thing is linked with the kind of working capital which is available with the company. So
Right.
the working capital limits that would be there with the company that helps us to source the natural gas portfolio, right?
Right.
So the jump in terms of, when you perfectly calculated, 8,000 was the kind of average for the entire year, right? Obviously, there has been a lot of parameters which would have gone through the last entire financial year, based on which there has been fluctuation. Some of the
Right.
things include the monsoon, there would be certain other parameters also coming in. So a lot of things
Right.
are there, right? Now, creating a buffer of all these things, when we evaluate this entire thing is we create a portfolio based on the limits that we already have, right? So for the
Right.
last year, based on the IPO proceeds that we received, which was completely utilized, primarily for our working capital requirement, that helped us in terms of sourcing of additional molecules. And that's
Right.
how we were able to expand to these certain levels, right?
Right.
So this level has to be maintained. The fluctuation, whatever would be there, that may come in. So it can be both ways, right? So it will depend on the strategy of the management on a time-to-time basis based on the situation on the ground, and we
Right.
continue to work on the similar direction. That's how it would be. I
Sir,
hope that.
yes, sir, I understand,
Yeah.
sir. So if I consider purely the working capital as the major constraint for growth, then
Hmm.
looking at the working capital numbers that you guys have reported over the last 2 years,
Yeah.
there has been a substantial improvement actually since 23. And even during the IPO, there were certain, like we had a word, I don't know whether you remember or not, but I had asked this question that time, working capital and the evolution of working capital as you ramp up and the size of the company grows. Um, uh, Even my assumption was that there would be some amount of increase in the receivable days. But actually, when the numbers came out, I was pleasantly surprised that the receivable days were under control. In fact, you got good terms on the payable side. So working
Correct,
capital
correct, correct.
seems to be, and you are sitting on cash from the IPO, right? So working
Right, right.
capital net on a day basis, number of days basis has reduced, and you are sitting on cash. So again, that's why I'm asking, sir, shouldn't you be like doubling next year?
That's absolutely, a fair assumption that we should be targeting, right?
Right,
But
right,
having said that, there will be a lot of other parameters which also come into play. Like you correctly pointed out, last year there has been an improvement in the receivable days, but that contribution happens to certain business strategies that we would have adopted at that point in time, getting into certain, tenders, getting on, a lot of strategic decisions that would have been taken that may have helped us in one section, but it would
right,
have been costing at some other section. So that
right,
all is a strategic decision that the management undertakes during the course of the business, right? But always
right.
the endeavor is always in terms of providing the maximum value for all the stakeholders, and that is going to continue, right? So we are not giving any commitment in terms of doubling or anything of that sort. But yes,
Right.
the growth pace that we are undertaking, that will continue, and the commitment will continue for the same way.
So which variables in the business should I assume have hit a steady state number? Is it the margin? So on a per million BTU basis, your margins have slightly improved.
Right,
On the working capital side, you have significantly improved.
right.
So, are these steady state numbers, sir? Have we reached steady state? Because we are still growing at 150%, right? The company is still growing rapidly.
So
So,
during the presentation, I shared certain numbers that how
yes,
India is growing, right? So
right,
this has to be aligned with the government of India's targets. So
right.
we are aligning ourselves in terms of the growth that is also being witnessed across the gas distribution business, right?
Mm,
So as I
mm,
mentioned, there is a significant growth happening across the city gas distribution segment. There is a significant growth happening across the pipeline infrastructure that is going to get developed across the country. And
very true.
equivalently, the energy mix contribution by natural gas is also poised to
Right,
become double, right? So there will be a lot of other parameters also coming in, which
right.
will contribute in terms of the growing volumes, the
Mm,
enhancement in the segment, right?
right.
So Positron Energy's endeavor has always been to position ourselves with a strong footing and consolidating our position at the levels and then moving to the next level, right? So we
But
have
sir,
not been,
as you move, sorry to interrupt you, sir, but
yeah,
as you move from the current three, let's say, rounding it up to 350 crores, and
yeah,
you move towards, let's say, 1,000 crores, right?
right,
In
right.
this scale,
Hmm.
um, what will happen to your margins? Can you maintain your current margins? Can you improve your current margins? Because as the size of the company increases, probably you'll get better terms somewhere. And in some
We will be,
cases, to
yeah,
push
it will be
volume,
both
you may have
ways.
to yeah,
So,
you may have to give discounts.
yeah, as you correctly pointed out, both the parameters you have mentioned. So this all would be strategic business decisions. time to time we will have to undertake, right? Certain pluses, certain
Okay.
minuses, obviously that has to be undertaken. So that has to be left when the situation arises in front of us. Prima facie, if you have to put in this margin levels, during several of our past calls also, we have been stating the same thing. The range will
Right.
remain the same. Many a times you hit
Okay.
the upper part of it, many a times you get
Right.
the bottom part of it. So
Right.
that's how this entire thing is. And as our entire focus has been in gas aggregation, the contribution is significant over there, right? So that
Right.
variation will keep on maintaining. And the idea is it would be at that similar levels, but obviously there would be certain strategic decision making which has to be with respect to the end objective for the company as well as for all our stakeholders. So that we will try and maintain.
Right. One last question, sir. In the various micro markets that you are operating in, and we are talking about like hyper-regional markets here. Everywhere across the board, is the demand looking good, sir? Over the short term, long term, sir, I understand the story, but in the very short term, is the demand holding up?
Um, I think there is no significant variation that we see per se.
Okay.
There are
Okay.
obviously, there would be certain sectors, when I mentioned about the targeted sectors where we are, supplying the gas, you would have
Right.
seen there is a huge portfolio which is available.
Right.
And the situation in the country is there is a demand supply deficit only. So demand is
Right.
always there available, but
Right.
certain stages there would be demand from power sector, certain time there would be from fertilizer sector. Monsoon
Right.
hits in, there would be, significant surge in terms of fertilizers and that requirement. Currently,
Right.
monsoon hitting before time, there would be a reduction in power segment that
Hmm.
would be witnessed. Otherwise, the power requirement should have been huge, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
sectoral changes, variation will be there. But
Hmm.
when you look into a macro level stuff, holistically
Yeah.
speaking,
Yeah.
the deviation is not that significant that will really impact. So that deviation is absolutely manageable. That's what we have seen over a period of time. Otherwise, there has been no significant issues in the short term as well.
Great, sir. Thank you very much for answering all the questions, sir. Kindly do
Thank
consider
you.
my suggestion, sir, of
Sure,
monthly volume disclosures and quarterly results. A basic
sure.
result, just mentioning again the aggregate volumes, turnover, EBITDA, PAT, working capital, if you feel like it, and like a one-para commentary on what you saw during the quarter in terms of demand and what do you see going forward. That's it, sir. It will
Okay.
barely be a page-long thing every quarter. That would really help. Really, really helps.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate your suggestion. We'll certainly look into it. So,
Thank you
thank you.
very much, sir, and all the best, sir. Congratulations again on a great quarter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the next question from Miten Shah.
Hello, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks for giving me opportunity, and once again, congratulations for setting up a great post of numbers. So my first question would be, Mr. Sujit, as of now, when we speak, what is the cash in hands that we have?
Cash in hand.
I
That
mean,
exact
what?
numbers
Yeah.
are probably in the current scenario we'll have to look into.
Yeah, I mean, the reason, why I'm asking basically, see, we are a debt-free company,
Yeah.
and I think the projected cash flow, what showed, I think around 71 crores, it was showing basically, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken, in the audited statement, basically. The reason why I'm asking is basically, how do we plan to utilize this cash, basically? I mean, is it in terms of any inorganic
Understood.
acquisition, or is it in terms of any dividend? If the company has a thought of, for any dividend policy. So that is what I wanted to ask, how do we utilize the cash in hands?
Right, Nitin. I've understood your intent of the question, so I address the intent of your question, right? So
Yep.
the cash in hand, certainly, yes, it seems to be quite high in the last exact numbers I'm not having with me as of now,
That's
but
fair. Yep.
yes, we were upwards of 65 crores is what probably we should be having. Now we need to understand the funds that we raise from the market for through the IPO is being utilized for working capital requirements, right? So majorly it is being available with us, provided as lien to the banks for providing us bank guarantees and SBLC related instruments which have been utilized. I hope I am able
Okay.
to.
Okay. Okay, so indirectly, I would
So
understand is that most of them would be still basically used for the utilization of working capital.
absolutely. For it is purely going to be for working capital. So there will be churning in, churning out, and it is completely used for working capital purposes, helping us secure additional molecules, and that helps us to build our gas aggregation business further.
Got it, got it. And second thing, I mean, so we see a lot of thrust in the hydrogen requirement. Basically, I mean, we see a lot of news regarding hydrogen electrolyzers and a lot of what you call say proof of concept projects being developed. So, how do we as a company see as an opportunity in the hydrogen sector going forward?
Right. So very interesting question. I request Mr. Rajiv to take up the question.
Sorry. Hi, Nitin.
Yeah,
The question is very valid because that's the new buzzword, or the green is the color which everyone loves to see. So,
correct,
but per se, hydrogen, whatever we are today in the country, and how the global market is also looking at. So that's all there in the open domain. Everyone wants hydrogen less than $1 per kg. Okay. So
correct,
make it viable. So as far as we understand from the energy sector and from the large conglomerates which all are working, no one is able to achieve that as a less than $1 as of now, with the giant gigawatts of power also to be produced. Okay. So
Mhm.
perspective for hydrogen is based on your country's energy mix and the overall economical condition. Okay, so the country which are developing or which are there in the foray of development, they will right now would not like to see a color of hydrogen, color of
Mhm.
fuel. Okay, it may be green or blue, but the growth is of paramount importance. So the maximum hydrogen whichever we are looking is getting exported or would be in future going exported to the European or the US market, if they, because there are lots of geopolitics going on as US putting tariffs and all those things. So it's still
Correct,
a market which does not have a set rule how the trade
Mhm.
will happen, or I can say there is no marketplace per se. Okay, so
Correct,
if you want to look at Brent, or if you want to look at electricity generally, not the color of electricity, but generally electricity or coal or any other market, any other fuel, there is a marketplace wherein few buyers and sellers will come and discuss, and based on the quality quantity your trade can happen. But per se hydrogen does not have a market. It's still under a evolution stage, and at least not for the country, but multiple countries should agree to a simple formula of buying and selling. Then it becomes a place wherein you can also plunge into that energy basket. Coming back to your question that how does company sees to it, that would we go into hydrogen or not, we would like to wait for the market to get more mature, because still the other energy mix which is less polluting, which is gas, natural gas, compared to other oil and coal, so we have still more than double or that capacity to come to that levels. India is still striving for that. So we will first address that. But in the meanwhile, we are not being blind to it. If certain opportunities and really it makes sense and palatable market is there, definitely we'll look into that. But as of now, we don't have any plans for that.
got it. The only, I mean, subsequent question to that is that with the
Mm.
present skill set, what we have, what we possess, with
Mm.
respect to the gas industry, is hydrogen similar to that? Basically, I mean, see the like we have, jargons like explosive atmospheres, hazardous environment, zone zero, zone one, zone two, and all those things in the gas industry that we are aware of. So, is
Mm.
hydrogen similar to all those? I mean. Working environment, or is there
Almost,
something
almost,
different?
almost same, but hydrogen is not directly consumed as a fuel by in the current business scenario. Okay, for any
Correct,
industry or anyone. So no one uses. This is a replacement fuel. Okay, so handling hydrogen, there will be lots of changes which will be coming in, and it will only go into process industry. Start off with to the process industry like steel and fertilizers, wherein urea and everything is created. So that would be the state of fuel is same, bit on higher side, means as hazardous and everything, more higher than gas. But yeah, it's the same way, but it's still applications has to be more made commonly used or easily available.
Correct. Okay. As of now, the only last question, and I'll follow up if I get an opportunity. I mean, how do we see Inox CVA and Linde India? I mean, are those consumers or competitors to us, or consumers, or I mean, how do you see these companies?
They will not be consumers or competitor. They are one of the, value chain or ancillary industry wherein they carry this liquefied natural gas or hydrogen, what you're talking about. They are the carriers for that, because they're a very specialized industry who are into cryogenic tankages,
Correct.
storages
Correct.
for that. So we are not really competing, or neither they are competing with us. So we will be complementing rather than if we go into hydrogen or something, we will be using their cylinders and tanks.
Correct. Got it. Thanks a lot for giving me opportunity. I'll step in if I get an opportunity. Meanwhile, I'll give opportunity to others as well. Thanks
Thank
once
you.
again.
Thank you. We'll take the next question from Mr. Mukesh Panjwani.
Yeah, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. Good evening to all the promoters and congratulations for great set of numbers. So my first question is like what Positron is doing differently that helps us to compete with much bigger companies in this space.
Good afternoon, Mukesh ji. Positron, that's what the initial entire presentation was Sujit has run through, but I'll like to come, make it in a statement or two that, we are there in all spectrum of the natural gas business that is, from EPC to the O&M to the PMC. And so we really understand where is the demand setting. We have a varied bouquet of offering to a customer wherein we can offer them a good way of handling gas, new concepts rather, wherein additional way to use energy. There might be a plant, just for quoting an example, there might be a plant he might be using only burner for one application, and other he might be using a traditional fuel. So the strength what we have, because we understand the entire spectrum of this business, so we promote them to change over to other fuel, that is gas. So that's primarily what we do differently to make our customers to use more gas. And there's lots of interaction level which is between the customer and us to bring them on board, so they stay with us and they become our regular buyer, and we become one of their good suppliers.
Okay. And sir, is it easy for the new company to enter this business and take away our customers, or are there any barriers that protect us?
It's a natural barrier, and because this industry is governed by regulations, and now from the since when the regulation was implemented in '07 till now, it has become a more matured regulation. So one who follows and adheres the entire process and come into business would be definitely will be allowed to do the business. But as I would like to put into that is it easy to become a telecom operator in this country? So the answer is yes, you can become a telecom operator. If you follow the processes of TRAI, you can become a telecom operator. But what are the processes of telecom TRAI? That itself is, mind-boggling. Then we say that दूसरा business करते हैं. So that's an answer for it.
So like it is a complicated industry.
Yeah, not that straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And sir, what is our current daily volume right now? Like how much gas we are supplying every day now?
Current volume is the same, under the same range. Right now we are striving between 15 to 20,000, and that's the number what we are trying to do.
Okay. And sir, like our GSPC contract is over. So what we are doing to replace, like, what is our strategy to maintain such volumes? How we are doing it?
It's always an ongoing thing. It does not say, as Sujit initially also was telling, that the main aim of the company is to have a long-term supply contract first in place. So any business or wherein the supply surety is there, your downstream is always to be have a better poised. Okay, margins given plus minus. That's nature of any business. and depending on many geopolitical conditions and everything. So if GSPC was there for a short while with us, but there are other contracts or other downstream customers wherein we will supply the same amount of volume, or a bifurcated or a volume which are distributed among many consumers, but on a long-term basis. So that continues to be there. So it's not a customer specific. It's end of the day, if I want to put, they're all gas consumers. So we should be more worried, or we should be more concerned that do we have the adequate number of gas users with the company? Then definitely yes, with the company and with the country, definitely we have adequate number of gas users, and the suppliers are with bunch of suppliers, so we will be definitely making that.
Okay, okay. And sir, in H1, our margins were around 7-8%, and in H2 it dropped to 5%. So what should we assume as our normal or average margin going forward?
So basically, Mr. Mukesh, here, we have always been maintaining that, there would be certain variation in terms of the margins that is directly linked with the strategy that the company is adopting at that point in time, right? So whenever we have been talking about EBITDA margin, I always maintain about the range. So there would be kind of fluctuation. Certain times it would be on a higher side, certain times it would be lower side. What does that imply basically is in terms of, you would have seen there was a huge uh, increase in terms of the volumes that we were handling in the last quarter. So obviously there will be certain pressure at the margins. And it all is being directly in terms of how you are able to take up the volumes into your kitty. And based on that, you have to work out the challenges, whatever are posed up, you need to work out in terms of the strategic decisions, But on a holistic basis, yes, this is the kind of range that would be maintained at all times, right?
Like 6-7%, we can assume?
Yeah, it would always between, say, PAT margin, if you look into it, has to be between somewhere 4.5 to 6.5, 7%. And even EBITDA also, it is always between 8% to 10, 11% is the kind of range, that's the range. Now, based on the actual ground reality and the, so business environment that we would be facing at that point in time, certain decisions have to be taken, and accordingly we work out stuff. So that's the way things are. But more or less, this would be kind of maintained during the financial year. Yeah.
Okay. And sir, how many engineers are working right now with us currently versus like last year? If you can give
Last year, the total employee strength was roughly around 220, and the number of engineers should be upwards of 160, 170. Majorly, they are all engineers only. I have not taken the exact numbers as of now with me, but yeah, it would be upwards of 70, 80% are all engineers only who are deployed across all the various projects across the country.
So what was the number last year?
You're talking about financial year 25?
No. Yeah. Last year.
FY24.
Yeah.
FY24, I think we were at around 130 to 150. That was the numbers, I guess.
Total employees.
130 total employees, yeah.
Okay. And sir, last year, we have done like average volume of 8,000 or 8,500.
Yeah.
And right now, if we are doing like around 15,000, and even if we are not able to execute, like maintain this quantity all the year, entire year, even if we are doing like 11, 12,000, we would be easily able to achieve our 30-40% growth target this year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And sir, our gas aggregation business is doing very well. So can the technical and advisory business also grow enough to stay around the same, like 5% of the total revenue? It has to grow.
We endeavor to undertake the same ratio to be maintained, but obviously we are a bit more aggressive in the gas aggregation business, and the opportunities are galore over there. So we have developed our expertise in that way that we scale up our business and get the maximum share. So for want of the growth at one segment, we cannot compromise on the other segment. The thrust for growth on both the segments remain the same. So that's the ratio will more or less remain the same, similar fashion only.
Okay. And sir, which industry our majority of business comes from?
City gas distribution business only, no?
Okay. And recently there was a news that there's reduction of around 5% in APM gas prices. So would there be any impact on our business?
Not really. It would be impact on a positive note.
Okay.
Any reduction in the allocation from the domestic volumes to the sectoral consumers comes as a big opportunity for us, because we are basically gas aggregators and we are here to provide solution to the consumers who are getting impacted because of this curtailment. So the moment there is a curtailment in any of the segment, any of the business segments, these are the opportunities that come in front of us, which we would love to cater. And that's an opportunity which helps us to grow our business further.
Got it. And sir, my last question, like, which is the state from where we are getting majority of our business, and what is the plan like going ahead?
See, currently our major business thrust has always been from Gujarat, because Gujarat is one of the mature gas markets in the country. We all are aware about it. Apart from that, then you have the developed markets in Delhi and Mumbai and all. So our presence in all these areas are already there, and we continue to further expand our business contribution coming from these areas. During the presentation, I did mention that the entire country is also witnessing a huge, tremendous growth in terms of infrastructure development across the country, right? So there, over the next few years, there will be substantial change. It all depends on a lot of local regulatory impact by the state government. There will be a lot of central government related trust, and no doubt the companies which are operating in these areas and the cluster of industries which are operational in various states, that will create a lot of difference. So currently we have major thrust over there in the state of Gujarat. Over a period of time, I believe that we would be spreading across several other regions, and that would be impacted with a lot of other variables which would be there on a localized basis. And the objective would be in terms of getting the maximum share based on the development that is coming up.
Got it. Thank you so much, sir, and all the best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mukesh.
We'll take the next question from Maitri Shah.
Yeah, hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations on the great result. I just have a few questions. The first one was, what sort of pipeline of orders and new customers do we have for the fiscal 26?
Already we had shared that in the slide. The current order book that we already have is roughly around 65-70 crores of order we already have with us. Okay.
No, I was asking for the new tenders that we have not been awarded yet, but have them in hand.
That pipeline would be much more higher, because we are continuously bidding for several projects across the country, and yes, that numbers would be significantly different. But the numbers that I have just mentioned, the 65 crores, is the orders that we already have in our books as on 31st of March.
Could you
Is the number.
quantify the bidding pipeline? Is that possible?
The exact numbers depend on various segments. I don't have a clear snapshot in front of me, so that would be slightly difficult for me. But yes, having said that, because our major business comes from natural gas aggregation business, so we are working on several projects where we are trying to source the molecules, and that would be slightly for a longer term tenure contracts. So the value would be much higher and would be more strategic in nature. So as and when these things are getting materialized, certainly we would be declaring the same on the exchange, and that would be shared with all our investors as well. But yes, a lot of places we are already working on, and the values will be much higher, because it is not for a short term, we are looking at for a long term.
Correct. And currently we have around 70 customers. Is that correct?
Correct.
We supplying. So are we planning on like increasing by the end of FY26? Would you give us a number? What sort of?
See, exactly the 70 customers are the total cumulative value of consumers that whom we had catered to in the last financial year. On a month-on-month basis, various consumers where we are supplying gas or providing technical services, that's the cumulative numbers. And as we currently speak, the work is very repetitive in nature also. So that also we need to understand. This is a very niche area that we are working in, right? The entire country, if you look into, there are the geographical area spread across the country is around 300. And if you look at the operator, there would be, most of the operators we are already working along with, right? When we talk about 60, 70 operators, that I think sums up the entire industry. The major area where there would be a real expansion is when Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, they open up the entire market. That is the marketing exclusivity period for all the entities. When they open up, there would be a huge thrust, so we are getting prepared for that. So if just to help you understand, the natural gas distribution across the country majorly is divided into two parts. One is all the consumers who are less than 50,000 cubic meters of requirement, and the other is above 50,000 cubic meters of requirement. Today, we are in a position to supply gas to all the entities who are having bulk requirement, upwards of 50,000 cubic meters of gas. Less than 50,000 cubic meter of gas is under the direct ambit of city gas distribution business. Okay. All those entities put together is a portfolio of upwards of 15,000, 20,000 consumers are there who are consuming the gas. Today, they are not in our direct network. So probably the current ambit where we are targeting is roughly around 50 to 100 consumers are the subset where we are already working on and we are targeting. So current scenario is slightly repetitive in nature. Once the market matures up and the industry gets into the next phase, we are already getting prepared ourselves in terms of taking up that challenge. So that will further enhance multifold, if that answers your question.
Okay. So the average MMBTU for this year was around 8,000 to 8,500, and for FY26 we're targeting around at least 15,000. And our
Yeah.
margins were in a lot of pressure when we scaled up to this range. So do you expect the margins going down even further for FY26?
Not really. If the present scenario continues, we would be continuing the business in a similar fashion only. That is what we are expecting at this point in time. Last year, there was immense pressure because we had very short time in terms of achieving the targets that we had put across in front of our investors during our initial IPO days, and we had to work it out within the 6 month span. Currently, we have slightly more better tenure. As I already mentioned in the previous question, the margins will hover between the range that I've already mentioned for EBITDA as well as PAT. Somewhere we'll continue to endeavor to get the maximum value for all the transactions that we undertake.
That's great. And we're planning to reach about 25,000 to 30,000 per day MMBTU. So for that, we'll require much larger working capital. So are you planning on funding it through debt, or how are you planning on funding it, like any equity raise or something?
If you would have observed the way Positron has built up its business portfolio till date, we have always ensured that we go on a very steady basis and on a grounded basis. So currently, as you mentioned, 8,000 is what we have reached. We will consolidate our portfolio to a level where we are on a sustainable basis at the next platform. From there, when we take the next leap, obviously, we would evaluate our options both with respect to on a debt basis as well as internal accruals at that point in time, which will help us go steady step basis. From 15,000 it won't be directly 25,000. We may go 15,000, from 18,000, 20,000. So steadily we will go, and that we will try and demonstrate in the next 2 to 3 years of time. That's the plan that the company has at that point in time.
There will be a mix of debt and
Yeah,
internal
yeah,
accruals.
certainly.
Certainly. Okay. And just one last question. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from 8,500 be targeting a 15,000 MMBTU. So why is the top line growth at 40%? Can't we expect a double or 100% top line growth for FY26?
Um, we can expect, but here this is on a slight realistic to conservative basis. We estimate that the growth would be 30 to 40% levels. There are a lot of variables that are yet not even known to any of us, right? So the energy sector is getting influenced by several parameters which are way beyond our control. So we go on a very realistic basis as to which is realistically possible for us. Yeah, certainly if there is a situation where we can optimize further, we will certainly be looking at it. But at this point in time, we believe that reasonably we should be looking at this levels because there are a lot of other parameters which influence the business as well. So that's the
So we're not
point.
expecting maybe in the months to go forward to lower our average for the quarter, like maybe going down to like a 9,000 MMBTU and then the average being around 10 to 11,000.
That
Is
all
that
depends on
why?
the market scenario. Currently, as the previous discussions, we mentioned that there are a lot of things which influence, like monsoon coming, and there will be certain impact. Sudden, the summers were not at that levels that we expected, right? There has been certain influence on the power sector. So various sectors have got various kind of influence. So there would be a lot of things which will may come up, and that's the reason why there seems to be slight fluctuation in the numbers that we are undertaking at present. So that would be there certainly, but holistically speaking, yes, the targeted numbers have to be achieved, and that has always been our endeavor, and we continue to do the same.
That is it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take the next question from Bhavika Singhvi.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. So I have a few questions related to your sale of gas, natural gas distribution. So as we know that it happens through on-wheel and pipeline too. So could you please provide us a revenue split in these two ways in the supply?
May I request Manav if you can just chip in and explain the difference between both?
Sure. Madam, on wheels, we have not done anything. In fact, we don't intend to continue with on-wheel supplies. We are focused on pipeline supplies, and that's what we are doing. And in the current year, almost 100% of our supplies have been through a pipeline network from the various network of pipelines which are available in the country. So we've been supplying through the pipelines only.
Okay.
On a go-forward basis,
Uh,
we continue to focus on pipelines.
Okay. So, my second question is related to this only that you do pipeline business. So, could you tell me the bifurcation of industry segment you target? Like, as you mentioned that you supply to city gas distribution. So, the proportion of distribution to them and other industries.
Yeah, see, majority of our consumers, uh, let me just give you a little bit of a brief. Of course, it was covered in the presentation as well. The key sectors where the gas is being consumed is city gas, fertilizer, power. Of course, gas is also supplied to glass industries, ceramic industries. So, in the given broad spectrum, the biggest consumer of gas is city gas, CGDs, and CGDs continue to be the largest dominant segment, which is growing at a very rapid pace. As you would probably be aware, that over the last couple of years, Government of India through PNGRB has awarded more than 300 licenses to various city gas distribution operators. And those city gas distribution operators, as we move forward, are developing a network. There are more CNG stations, there are more domestic connections, there are more industrial connections and commercial connections, and therefore the consumption of molecules in city gas distribution entities per se is increasing. So city gas continues to dominate our portfolio for the time being. So maximum amount of gas, almost 70% goes to our 70 to 80% goes to city gas distribution sectors across the country. Apart from that, the other major sector in the last financial year was ceramics. We have supplied a lot of gas to ceramic. Not to forget the other large consumers being refineries and fertilizer plants. A brief chunk of gas has also gone into about 10% odd has gone to fertilizer and refinery segment as well. These are broad ballpark numbers. Don't hold me against small. So broad directionally, these are the consumption across the various segments.
Just want to understand, like, as you mentioned, city gas distribution hold 70% around. So, like, why they come and take the supply from Positron and not directly from the major players out there? Like, could you make me understand regarding this, like what difference Positron brings on board for them?
Yeah, I, I mean, what happens is that we we have a portfolio of gas. Of course, these city gas distribution entities have an allocation of gas from Government of India, and based on the priority segment, a lot of the gas is available to them through various government commitments. Uh, so apart from that, the gas for commercial and industrial segments typically comes through um, non-subsidized gas or non-APM gas, which they have to secure from open markets. So this open market is where we pitch in, and we kind of ensure that the molecules are available to city gas distribution entities at the most competitive price. As Rajiv and Sujit have mentioned multiple times in this thing, we have a portfolio. So in our portfolio, we not only kind of ensure that our consumers get the best price gas, we also ensure that the most efficient transportation mechanism is available to them, so that the cheapest, the gas delivered at the doorstep of the city gas distribution entity or any other industry for that matter is economical or most efficient, if I may say. So these, and there is a maze of pipelines, as was mentioned in the previous discussion as well. There are pipelines operated by different operators. They're operated by GSPC, they're operated by GAIL, they're operated by PIL, they're operated by IOC. So each of these pipelines have got their own codes, and we have to ensure that all of these pipeline dynamics, are contractual obligations, are catered to, manage, and the his molecule is delivered to the end consumer at his burner tip, at his house, at his plant, in the most economical and efficient manner. So this is a very unique proposition that we bring to the table, and the consumers kind of believe in us, and they give us an opportunity to service them.
So the last question, that like just to understand the industry, like can you tell me what is the unstructured way? Like there are few big players. So I just want to know, like, is there any other players who are there, like in a small quantities, who do the supply, but like are not as renowned as other players? So if you could give me light on that.
You're talking about other suppliers of gas?
Sorry.
I mean, I didn't get your question. I'm sorry. You're talking about other suppliers of gas?
Yeah, suppliers of gases, like the natural gas aggregators in the industry.
There are only a handful of players in the market, frankly, if you ask me. So, apart from the national oil companies, there are few large domestic oil companies through their subsidiaries are operating in this space. And apart from that, I think there are not many players. There are only a handful of players which are operating in this space.
Thank you so much. That's all from me.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Manan Patel.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Mr. Patel.
Thank you for the opportunity, and congratulations to all of you for fantastic performance in the past year. So the first question is, you slightly alluded to it. We have around 65 crores of cash, and part of it would be linked to banks for bank guarantees, from what I understand. So what amount would be bank liens? I just wanted to get the understanding how much cash still remains with us for further financing, for further margin funding for bank guarantees.
So yes, would you be able to give exact numbers?
Basically, as already discussed, the entire fund which is available with us is being earmarked only for our working capital requirements, right? So the entire thing is going to be utilized only for that. We have already taken up the limits. The limits are sanctioned with us. So the business doesn't happen that way, that you have the sourcing done and then you go for getting the limits. So based on this thing, we have already got our limits sanctioned, and with the available limits, we are sourcing and participating for various molecules for our aggregation business. So that's how it is.
So is it fair to understand that most of the cash that is
Yes,
showing up on the balance sheet is leaned to banks for
absolutely.
setting the limits?
Yes, yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it. So the second question is, so we have talked a lot about volumes, but I wanted to understand in the current scenario where crude oil prices have corrected substantially. And last year's realization, from what I understand, on an average were around 1100 rupees per MMBTU. So what would be the current realizations given the crude prices have corrected substantially? So can you throw some light on that, at least some range that we are operating as of now?
See,
Yeah.
typically, yeah, go on, please.
No, you will take it, Mano. No problems.
See, crude oil prices have been under pressure for some time now. And a lot of these contracts which are there in the market, they are either linked to crude oil or are linked to Henry Hub or are linked to West India marker. So all of these contracts, all of these prices more or less move in tandem. So at the end of the day, there is not going to be, significant difference. However, broadly, if you were to get an indicative number, I think your last assumption holds true even today. Broadly, yes.
Got it. Got it. You mentioned in initial commentary that you would want to move a larger part of business, maybe demand as well as supply from more shorter term to longer term. So just wanted to understand, do you have a breakup or an idea about what percentage of current demand as well as supply would be long term versus short term?
See, as we move forward, at this point in time, we are talking about last financial year, in 31st of March. So on 31st of March, we closed in on having midterm contracts. Given that our IPO and the funds, etc., were released in the H2 of last year, so we were able to get into some midterm contracts, both supply side as well as selling side, demand side as well as supply side, both sides. So on a go-forward basis, we are focused, as you rightly pointed out, on having long-term contracts. So we are, this quarter is still, it started, but indicatively, we are looking at long-term contracts and we are aggressively working towards it. So we are looking at near-term, mid-term, and long-term contracts from both the supply side as well as demand side.
Okay. And sir, midterm would be around 6 months to a year, and long term is more than a year.
Yes, but I think it will be a little longer than that.
Okay.
Midterm could range between 1 to 3 years, and long term could be 5 years and upwards.
Fantastic. And sir, the last question. We had a tie-up with LNG terminal at Chhara. So has that started operating, or will it still take time?
LNG terminal at Chhara has started operating. It has got commissioned. The first cargo has come in, and they have pumped out the first cargo. Having said that, the terminal is still going through its phases of stabilization. There is monsoon, so during the monsoon period there are some issues. So that once that terminal stabilizes, we would aggressively pursue using the terminal for our business operations. But at this point in time, that the terminal has started commission for sure, but it is still going through stabilization phase.
Understood, sir. Thanks a lot. That's it from my side. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a few questions from the Q&A tab now. So I'll just read the question out for you. The first question is, how much volumes have we done this quarter so far?
I think at this point in time, we are focused on the numbers that we have closed in on 31st of March 2025. So those numbers are there out in the open. This quarter, we are selling the molecules, but we have not accumulated the numbers so far. But I mean, we'll come out with numbers as we move along. I mean, we don't really have firm numbers in our hand as we speak.
Okay, so the next question is, what is the capex requirements for 10,000 kilometer pipeline expansion, and how do we need to fund it?
No, 10,000 kilometer expansion has been done on pan-India basis by multiple operators. So it is not funding that Positron Energy is going to do. It's through PNGRB has awarded license to multiple agencies to do multiple pieces of pipeline across the country. So the capex is going to be huge, really huge. So it is not really what we are doing. We only use the pipelines as they are laid and commissioned. We use the pipeline to supply the molecules to the end consumers. From source, we use the pipeline network to reach to the end consumer. I hope that answers the question.
The next question is, if the only constraint to your growth is cash, bank guarantee, are you looking to raise money through equity dilution like preferential or QIP?
I think at this point in time, we don't really have any immediate desire to go into any equity dilution or any other structural changes. We continue to focus. We have some funds. We continue to optimize the funds that we have and make the most of the funds, the money, the let's say that we have. We plan to make most of it. We don't intend to go for structural change at this stage.
The next question is, the order book on average for natural gas that is shown is to be completed in how many months or weeks?
It'll continue for the rest of the year. So most of the order book have got orders which are month on month. Few of them are project based. Few of them are O&M. Few of them are gas supply. So it is going to be through the entire tenure of 12 months that we are talking about. Spread out over the entire period of 12, from April of 2025 till March of 2026.
Okay, so the last question for today is, as you're receiving a lot of tenders, can you share the reason behind it? Award to Positron is cause of low price or through relations with the clients?
Tenders, actually, we have to qualify for the tender based on our technical and financial capabilities. So as we've been working in the industry for a very long period of time, and we have done a reasonable amount of work in the entire segment in consulting, PMC, PMC, as well as gas aggregation business. So based on our technical qualification, we are getting qualified in most of these tenders which are coming out. So that is the reason for which we are getting qualified, and therefore we are able to apply and participate in these tenders. Technical qualification, if I want to put it in one word or two words, it is we are qualifying based on our past performance.
I would now like to invite the management to share their closing remarks.
So I think thank you very much for all the investors for reposing their faith in us, and we hope to continue to work and pull out results in line with the guidelines that we have given you. So that's it from our side. Sujit.
Yeah, once again, thanks to all our esteemed investors, and it has been a real interactive session. I think we have been in a position to answer most of the queries, and that really shows the trust, the faith that all our investors have been continuously extending to us, with the expectation that the continued trust and support will continue for Positron Energy. Would like to conclude this session and look forward to demonstrating the furthermore better results for the next time to come. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
On behalf of Positron Energy Limited, we sincerely thank you for your time and continued interest. We appreciate your participation on today's call. You may now disconnect. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Bye.